Hi everybody. Tonight we're gathered here just for a few minutes to put together a video to get you up to date on what has been happening at the trail and with the new bridge and all those things for the last number of years actually. This has drawn a lot of attention, particularly since the new bridge is built, and for us today we've got two gentlemen who have been active trail volunteers for many years. I'd like you to meet them now, Bill Kapp and Tom Purcell. I'll start with Bill. I'm going to ask him a question, or have him make some comments here. Bill, would you give our viewers a short history of how the project of building a walking trail began?
Oh, the walking trail began in about 1997 in the spring of 1997, and really took off in the summer of 97. And what happened was we had an agreement with Allegheny Power, or at that time it was West Penn Power, and they gave us a permanent easement to the right-of-way that we now use as our trail. And after that, it took us 1 year. In 1998, we finished a section of trail from the Bethel-Peters Township line to Clifton Road. It took us all of 97 to clear brush, to clear a lake, and then put the trail down. Then in 99, we started the other side of Clifton Road, and we put the trail in from Clifton Road to Logan Road, and that took us all of 99 and 2000. And so we did start in 97. We ended up with our trail in the year 2000. That was in two separate parts, and the reason it had to come like that is because of funding. We had $35,000 to do the first section of trail, and so we got so far. In fact, we didn't even make Clifton Road then. The contractors quit when the limestone ran out at $35,000. So, and then the next year we started from there. Is that okay?
Who were some of the important players during that time? Do you recall any of them?
Yes, our president, people who are still with our trail now are the ones who started it. Peter Conkey is the one who started the trail, and he was the organizer for it, and really without Peter starting it, probably wouldn't be a trail, because some of us don't mind working, but we weren't organizers, and Peter was an organizer. Bob O'Connell from Bethel Park, and Bob has been working on the trail since day number one. In fact, they were the first two, and I think they had one work session before I even started a work session there. So, and then we started in 97 with Peter and Bob, and there's another man, Stan Olin, who's been with us all that time also. So that's the way it's been, and we have a core group of maybe 10 people who are always working, and then it fluctuates throughout the time who's there. Okay?
Sure. Well, thank you. I knew there were some additional people, but I didn't know exactly who they were, how many of them, so thank you for that. Tom, a project at this magnitude certainly must have some costs. Give us some idea of the costs, how the group got money, how we were able to get some free materials, and wherever you want to go with that.
Okay, you're talking about the the bridge. The bridge effort started with a small group of people in around 2000, right after the trail was built, as Bill mentioned. At that time, we were looking for places to get money. We were looking for a way to get the thing designed. And so it staggered along for a while. And then Tom Bailey from Brentwood Bank came along and offered to put up a sign out right at the site that said, "Help bridge this gap." And so that sign was put up. And they also had advertisements on the local cable channel, I believe, that did result in some donations. But the donations were fairly small at that time. I think they were, we didn't have a whole lot of money. Of course, at that time we thought the bridge was going to be fairly inexpensive. As time went on, around in the year 2004, at the tragic death of J.R. Taylor, his family saw the sign that said "Help Bridge This Gap," and so they came to the trail and asked if we would like their assistance in building the trail, and if we would name the bridge after their their
Son.
son and brother.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where the name J.R. Taylor Memorial Bridge came from.
Yeah.
And so they were very instrumental then, Century Steel, in helping us to get this effort underway. They had one of their project managers who helped to spearhead the thing. He worked on a grant request that Bethel Park sent in that raised $750,000 for the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the real beginning of the whole thing. Then they started having bike runs on once a year out of Al's Cafe, and they had 300 to 400 motorcyclists that would come for these bike races, and they raised a lot of money, over $250,000 worth of money through these races. And also the trail people, we had a party on the trail where we started raising money to put into the coffers. And so we raised quite a bit of money through fundraisers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Once we then got the design underway and we were moving closer to getting the bridge done, we had the county get involved in 2009. They got involved to help with because they have experience in building bridges, to help with the bridge. And Vince Gaskeb was very instrumental in getting $250,000 put in the capital budget for the bridge.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so all of those efforts came together. The final price for the contract for the bridge was close to a little under $900,000, but the Taylor family, through Don Taylor and his family, through Century Steel Erectors, volunteered to do about $250,000 worth of the work.
Just donated it.
Donated those services, and we could talk about that more when you get into the actual discussion on building the bridge. So.
Yeah, okay.
I just want to say one
Want to add
thing.
something else?
Yeah, I do want to add something else. Like Tom said, we did start with the money early. We really thought that, like Tom said, we could do this for $200,000. We started in the year 2000 collecting money, and initially that little pamphlet that I showed you before, we got up to $13,000 initially. We had from the local people. We were getting checks for $25, $50, and $75 to $100 off of all the local people. So it took, from what Tom said, from the year 2000 to 2004, we thought we were really on the way to go. We raised $13,000. We thought it was really good. And then when we started the party on the trail and the Taylors came aboard, then we really took off. Then our eyes were really opened up to see how much it was going to cost. Okay, that's the only. So.
Well, while you're on the subject of the bridge again, Tom, what getting this bridge, what does this mean to you individually? What do you think about?
Oh.
Is that an important thing?
It's important. It's important if you have little children. It's important if you're a senior citizen and you want to cross Clifton Road. You know, when we originally came up with the concept of bridge, that was in '99. We finished the first part of the trail, and Peter, give him credit for it, he stood at the beer distributors and looked across and said, someday we're going to have to build a bridge across there. And I'm thinking, hey, I don't need a bridge to cross that road, you know, and until I had my grandkids visiting.
Uh-huh.
And then you have your grandkids and you see how slow they are going across the road. And then you also see a number of senior citizens that they only want to walk a mile. Well, now they could go further than a mile because they don't have to worry about all the cars. So that's what it means to me. It gives people a bigger challenge. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to add
What's
to that
your
is
reaction to that?
I agree wholeheartedly with Bill. My grandkids came over quite often, and the furthest we would go would be Washington School because I didn't want them crossing the road. But interesting, when while the bridge was being put up, somebody said, "Why do you need a bridge here? It doesn't go anywhere." And They says, it only goes back about a mile down to Logan Road. And I says, no, you don't understand. I said, the trail starts at Logan Road. It crosses this bridge, and from there you can go to Washington, D.C., or you can go to Coraopolis, depending on where when you get on the Montour Trail, you can go east to Washington, D.C., or you can go west to Coraopolis.
Yeah.
So it is a excellent piece of the trail for those in Bethel Park to be able to get to where they want to go.
Well, isn't the trail kind of made up of a number of these spurs?
Yes.
Under the guise of the Montour Trail or something like that?
You could say yes, and I could say no at the same time. Okay, I don't want to say it. Yes, we do have 2 spurs, and some of the historians know a lot more than I do about railroad structure and all that. So I won't even tell you. It's the Montour Railroad, and the main part of it is like 46 miles. It runs from, like Tom said, from Coraopolis to Clairton. And off of that, we have the Bethel Spur, we have a Muse Bishop Spur, and we have a Westland Spur. Okay. Now, the Muse Bishop Spur may come someday. The Westland will come soon enough. That'll be real fast, and that's a pretty good spur. That'll even be larger or longer than the Bethel Spur.
Oh.
But Tom will explain more of that, but it's pretty good. But we have 3 spurs off of it. 2 of them will be active. Let's say in a year from now, we'll have another spur, and it won't be not just Bethel. It'll be Westland, which will run all the way to the little borough of Westland down there around 519 in Washington County. Okay.
Well, it may seem like we have spurs. That's because there are breaks in the trail, the mainline trail. There are still breaks in it that we're still working on.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
on connecting those breaks in it. So they're mainly the breaks are from Peters Township towards Clairton, and those are the main breaks.
Okay. I talked to 2 guys the other day. They came. I was cutting a tree down by Lindenbrook Apartments, the tree that had crossed the trail, and I met 2 guys from Medford, Oregon. And we're not talking young guys. We're talking 60-year-old guys. They bicycled from Medford, Oregon. They were headed to Washington, D.C. And I told them, I said, well, guys, your next 2 hours are your hardest 2 hours. And they're just like you said, Mayor, is because our trail is broken up. We have a mile segment, then you have a broken segment that you have to hunt for, and you find it on the roads. And then you have a broken one, and then another one. That's the hardest part. But from Bethel Park, we have no trouble going to Clairton. Or to Coraopolis, I'm sorry.
That direction.
That direction, yeah. But our broken up section, which you might say is our spurs or something, that's the broken up section, what Tom says. So.
Well, that's interesting, talking to a guy from Oregon. I came across a guy out on the trail near Logan Road one day, and he had backpacks on his bike and everything. And he was asking me how you get to South Hills Village from the trail.
Oh, okay.
And so I stopped to explain it to him. And then I found out that he had ridden his bike from Burlington, Vermont to Bethel Park for his 50th high school reunion at Bethel Park High School Reunion.
Is that right?
And so, that was quite an accomplishment to come all the way from Burlington, Vermont, and ended up on our trail.
Yeah.
Right at Logan. So.
That's truly amazing. I got my copy of the Montour Trail newsletter.
Okay.
And they showed a picture of a biker looking over a mountain or something, and I'm thinking that just must be absolutely gorgeous across part of that trail. There's got to be some great scenery.
Okay, I know which picture. Do you remember seeing that picture? Yeah, on the Great Allegheny Passage.
Yes,
up at the Savage Mountain.
Yeah, up there at it's right on the Mason-Dixon line almost.
Is that where that is?
That's where it is. It is a nice section of the trail like there, and it's even better in the fall. When you go in a fall like that, yeah. One guy came through last week, and he said one thing great about coming in that direction, the Savage Tunnel was always 55 degrees. It was one of those days when it was real hot and we were sweating like that. So, yeah. It's, we think of it locally, and the trail is just 2 or 3 miles from here to Peters Township and that, but you wouldn't believe how many people go through. Almost every day there are long distance riders there, and when I'm working on a trail almost every day, you could see them because they're mostly men. Or young college kids, that's the way they go. You don't see too many women, but you do see women, and they all have their backpacks and all this stuff on them like that. And you just ask them, where are you guys going? Stuff like that. So.
Are most of them bicyclists?
Oh, yeah, everybody's a bicyclist, yeah. Yeah.
I thought it was about.
They just get to the point where they want to do it, And we have one of our board members. He did the trip from on the Montour Trail board, not the Bethel board. And one of our board members did the trip across the country 2 years ago with his son, and they came all the way across. But I guess it's sort of like a clique. You have to pay attention to see these guys. Most of us people would never pay attention to see them like him, but when you look at them, you'll see them. You know who they are.
I'm sure.
Okay.
I'm sure. Well, is there anything you want to add to all this?
Our bridge opening.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah. That's
yeah,
right.
we are planning a opening of the
Yeah.
bridge on September 4th at noon, and so we're in the process of inviting everybody that's been involved, yourself included, to the ribbon cutting ceremony on the 4th.
Good. We look
So-
forward to that.
Yeah.
Look forward to that.
We have to finish a little bit of the trail. Well, it doesn't have to be finished for the opening, but we're going to put a new surface on the trail in approaching the bridge. Before that, we hope so. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So that'll come out. That'll come out of our local money and stuff like that. So.
Well, people are using it now.
Oh,
aren't
they can't go across the bridge yet.
Oh, okay.
No, they can't
Okay.
go across the bridge
No,
yet.
it's not finished
Yeah,
yet.
Tom will
Oh,
tell you
all right.
more about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, at this point we've put the surface down on the bridge, but they still have to put a couple curbs on it, and then the trail leading up to the bridge still has to be finished.
Oh, all right.
One thing I did want to mention, okay, when we built the bridge, okay, that whole effort was totally amazing to me because we shut down the road on June 17th, Clifton Road on June 17th, and as soon as the road was shut down, Century Steel started moving in the sections of the bridge. They had already preformed the 3 lower pieces on and put those on trucks. Pulled the first one in, set it up, then brought the next one in, and they built the bridge down on Clifton Road. They had that whole section, the lower section, put together and part of the trusses put together by the end of the day that Friday. And then on the Saturday, over 53 ironworkers, volunteers, came in and just went to work putting the whole thing together. Like they had a group that would put the truss pieces in, another group that would come up behind them and put the bolts in, another group behind them would come through and tension the bolts. And so the whole bridge was put together by the end of the day on Saturday. The following Wednesday, they brought in this 500-ton crane, assembled it right next to the bridge. I think you were there for that effort, and they assembled the bridge right there in place. I mean, they assembled the crane, the 500-ton crane, rigged it up, and then lifted the bridge into place. And it only took them about 15 or 18 minutes, I think, something like that, to raise the thing into place. So
Well, that was
been
amazing. Amazing
quite an
day.
effort.
Yeah, really was.
It's surprising the number of people that thought the bridge came assembled.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, I've talked to so many people on the trail. They said, "Oh, they brought it in on a tractor trailer." They thought because it went up so fast.
Yeah.
They were there 1 week and then they came back the next week and they thought it was assembled, at a factory and brought in.
That would have been a feat.
Yeah,
haul that in.
They don't realize that. They don't realize how long it is. You don't realize the bridge is 200 feet long, and people don't realize how long it is there. So that's
200-foot bridge is not going to be coming down the road too soon.
yes.
Yeah, right.
Right. Well, you fellas have anything else? I think we're pretty much exhausted what we've
The
talked
only
about.
thing we have to do is thank the borough, because the borough gave us a lot of help, and they're still giving us help in maintaining it. And every time we're on the trail, you think we're on vacation, because when we go away biking, we hunt for a place to bike. And it's so nice to be at our home, ride up our street, make a right-hand turn, get on the trail, and it's so convenient for us and that. And, if it wasn't for volunteers doing it, if it wasn't for people giving us $50 donations, and it wasn't for the borough, kicking it, like our parking lot. That's why, like Tom said, the bridge is important. Our biggest parking lot is Irish Town parking lot. Well, the borough gave us some money to buy that parking lot. If it wasn't for that, that would still be a dump probably up there. So that's about it.
The other thing I want to mention is, I just came to me. I went out walking last night, and I would just walk from like 8 o'clock to 8:30. In the first 15 minutes that I was walking, I counted over 50 people out there using the trail.
Is that right?
And that's
Yeah.
fairly late at night too.
Yeah.
And then, you know, bikers, walkers, dog walkers, etc. And so, you know, this trail gets a lot of usage. And I
It
think
does.
with the bridge
Yeah.
in there, it'll possibly
Yeah.
even get more usage.
Yeah.
Or the people that only use one end of it will now
That's
use the other end
Yeah.
After September
instead of
4th.
stopping at Clifton Road. So.
Yeah.
Well, I want to commend the council for their attitude towards that when they decided to help out with the bridge, because I think they had the vision that, you know, this is our town and there's going to be our people using it, and they just felt that was a good investment to make, and so I thank our council for that.
It's another nice park for the borough, and without
It absolutely is.
without it sounding like it's a park.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And I've never had anybody complain about the trail. You know, it's just
Good.
the policemen still ride their bicycles on it once in a while.
I haven't.
They were
I haven't.
doing
Yes,
it
they
for a
do,
while.
but I haven't seen
I
it for a
haven't
while.
seen
But
it
they do.
Yeah.
They're always up there. When we had the party on the trail, we had like 6 parties on the trail, and they were always up there. Policemen were up there on their bicycles every time we have that race
Okay.
for a fundraiser and stuff like that. And I don't know really, because I'm not on the trail that much. I'm on other parts of the trail.
Bill's
anymore.
always working on other parts of
yeah,
the
so.
Montour Trail. So.
So
Well, I think the police department, of course, is just another part of the borough that's
Yeah.
you know, doing their part and trying to, you know, do what they do.
so.
I guess that kind of concludes what we came to do tonight, and I trust all you folks who have been doing this have gotten something from it. If there's any questions, send them on in to me, and I'll make sure that Tom and Bill get them, and they'll get back to you and take care of your questions.
Okay.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
In 1776, the Reverend John McMillan established 2 divisions of his congregation, the Eastern Division being called Lebanon and the Western Division being called Bethel. Bethel was incorporated in 1886 as Bethel Township, rich in agricultural and farmland, and by the start of the 20th century, Bethel grew as a result of advances in railroads and transportation. Pittsburgh Terminal Coal Company built Bethel's first coal mine in Mullingar in 1902. And in 1921, a model mining housing community was built in Coverdale. Pittsburgh Railway's trolley system provided transportation through the 1920s and 30s, and currently Port Authority of Allegheny County's light rail system that runs through Bethel Park and the South Hills has become a major mode of transportation. In 1949, due to enormous growth, Bethel Township was named Bethel Borough as a borough form of government, and by the 1970s had grown with residential development and commercial businesses to become a home rule municipality known as Bethel Park. With the 2010 census reporting the population as 32,313 residents, the municipality of Bethel Park remains one of the largest populated suburbs in the South Hills. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Clifford Morton, by virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of Bethel Park, and on behalf of the Bethel Park Municipal Council, do hereby proclaim this day, June 7, 2011, to be known as the 125th birthday celebration of the municipality of Bethel Park, in honor of all citizens and elected officials, both past and present.
sports, TV shows.
What's in the box? What's in the box? Come with me. Do you want to know what's in the box? It's you.
Once you figure out how to speak your kids' language, well, you don't really have to say much at all. From the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.